Live from Mohawk Honda on Route 50 in Glenville. We are here for Big Board Sports live on location on this Tuesday morning. Levac and Gauze will also be here live with the afternoon show from 2 until 7. Art Stapleton joins us with the Bergen Record, NewJersey.com, USA Today, covering the Giants now just a couple of days away before the NFL draft on Thursday. Art, Roger Weiland, and Chris Honorado in Albany. Good morning to you, Art.
Roger and Chris, doing well. Beautiful day down here in East Rutherford.
No doubt. Beautiful day here. Everyone's in a chipper mood when the weather turns the corner here. And now we get closer to the draft, and you hear all kinds of rumors. Art, let me just ask you, with that number 2 pick, do you think they know right now, the Giants know, Gettleman knows, Shermer knows exactly what they're going to do on Thursday night?
I think they all have an idea as to what they would like to do, but I do believe that Dave Gettleman probably is running through different scenarios in his head. I asked him point blank last week on Thursday if he knew what he was going to do and what pick he was going to make. He said no. Gettleman's been pretty blunt and honest throughout this whole process, and I think that's what's hard for people to realize, is that when you have the number 2 pick, it doesn't hurt to be honest, because people kind of look at you as a smokescreen even if you are telling the truth. So I think that's kind of where they're at. I do think they have some scenarios laid out for themselves. I had 5 scenarios, went through all of them on NorthJersey.com today. But the reality is, when that clock goes on, that's when the business gets going.
All right, let me ask you, the mini camp that's going on starting today, how big of a deal is that in the decision-making process, meaning they're going to get a chance to look at Davis Webb really for the first time, at least the new head coach and the new general manager. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of reps in this mini camp. How big of a deal is that going to be in this whole process when they make a decision on Thursday night?
You know, I don't think it factors into their decision Thursday night much at all. Dave Gettleman, the one thing he said back at the Combine to me when I had a chance to talk to him separate from the group was that you don't cheat the process. And Dave Gettleman is all about building his board, evaluating, and doing the homework on all these prospects. So he said last week, nothing that happens this week is going to change the top of our board. Now, does that mean that it gives them another option to consider going forward? I mean, look, what are they going to get done in this mini camp this week? They're going to be throwing the ball around. It's the first opportunity for the coaching staff to be out on the field with the players. But other than that, we're going to make it out to be, I jokingly called it the Davis Webb Invitational Voluntary Mini Camp. But ultimately, it's going to be, an opportunity for Shermer to kind of get out there with his players. But I don't think it has anything to do with what happens on Thursday night.
Art, man, shout out to you for the Tribe Called Quest reference in your tweet this morning about the 5 scenarios that may play out on draft night for the Giants. Art Stapleton of the Bergen Record, NorthJersey.com, and USA Today with us here on Big Board Sports 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. I saw you also conducted your own Twitter poll, and that it came back more than 2,000 votes, and 48%, the majority of the vote, to Saquon Barkley. I'm hearing a lot of Giants fans say that's what they want because they believe, the way Dave Gettleman and Pat Shermer seem to believe, that Eli Manning has a few years left or maybe just a couple of years left. Ultimately, Art, what do you think is the best pick for this franchise?
Well, I think it's definitely, Chris, a situation where it's what do you think the Giants are going to do versus what would you do? And for me, I would take one of the quarterbacks. I like, personally, I haven't done as much homework on the prospects as the Giants have or any team in the NFL has. We're not privy to that information. But I would go either Sam Darnold, if he's there, or Josh Rosen with the number 2 pick. I believe that it's not a statement about Eli Manning as much as it's a statement about the value of a quarterback on your roster under a rookie contract for the next 5 years. So if you believe you have that guy, or the potential of having that guy, it helps your entire team out, and it really shapes the way you can build your team going forward. That being said, I haven't heard anything from Dave Gettleman or anyone in the Giants organization that they are convinced that these quarterbacks will be the guy. So, like I said, I think for the Giants, it's between Saquon Barkley and Bradley Chubb. I went Barkley in my mock draft just because I think he's going to be their best player on their board. And I think when it's a 50-50 proposition at the number 2 pick, which essentially is what it is historically, you go with the best player on your board. And I think the Giants will have Barkley atop their board. So that would be my pick for them, knowing what I know from what they feel, at least from some crumbs that have been dropped along the way. It certainly hasn't been, the spigot isn't open here in East Rutherford for sure.
I agree with you. I think Barkley would be the right pick and a great pick, especially if they're not all that enamored with these quarterbacks that are coming out, because if they want one of them, they can certainly get it. They're picking number 2. It may not be Sam Darnold, but the rest of the guys are going to be right there. And then we're hearing this morning that Baker Mayfield, his stock has risen, and all of a sudden Cleveland's going to take Mayfield, which, this is what you get a couple of days before the draft. How about this, Art? Do you think the Giants at 2 could get an offer on draft night in terms of a trade that they cannot refuse?
I've thought about that, Roger, and, it's easy to say, trade down, get a couple assets, and take a guy like Bradley Chubb. If you're considering him at 2, maybe he'll be there at 5 or 6, just deal with Denver. But I look at Denver and I say, well, they just made a commitment to Case Keenum. Is Elway really going to go crazy about trading up to the 2nd pick to get another quarterback? I just don't see it. So, to me, the Giants need to have a team that's in the teens that wants to go full bore and trade up first into the top 10 and then down to 2. So it would almost have to be a leapfrog effect where someone would come up to Indianapolis at 6, say a Buffalo, and say, all right, we want your 6, and then take that 6 and flip it to the Giants at 2. Because I don't believe Dave Gettleman wants to move out of that sweet spot in this draft, which seems to be around 5 or 6. If you're talking 3 quarterbacks, and then the top 3 non-QBs are Barkley, Chubb, and Quentin Nelson, I think right at that 6, there's kind of a line of demarcation for the Giants. But if you go beyond that, now you're dealing with a chance that you're getting a lesser player, or not so much a lesser player, but your odds of getting an elite player drop. Can you do it? Sure. But if you have an opportunity to get an elite player, as Gettleman said, don't get too cute. And I think that's where, so as far as the trade down, anything's possible, but I do expect the Giants to hand that card in at number 2.
Art Stapleton, we appreciate a few minutes, man. I know you're busy, a lot of stuff going on. Gettleman press conference this afternoon, so we'll see if he says anything new or earth-shattering, but probably not.
Yeah, Art, are we going to get anything, do you think, on the Eric Flowers situation? I mean, speaking of rumors, the rumors are out there now that maybe the Giants are in trade discussions preliminarily for Flowers. Right,
well, will the Giants get anything for Flowers, let alone what we'll get about Eric Flowers? I mean, the Giants are in a difficult spot here because they can't necessarily talk about players who are not here because by the league rule and by the CBA, it's voluntary. So players don't have to be here. Internally, they can be upset all they want about the new regime and not seeing Eric Flowers here for the spring program. But if Pat Shurmur were to come out in the press today and talk about how disappointed he is about how Eric Flowers is not here, the Giants will get a phone call from the NFLPA and the league saying, listen, you can't force guys to be here. On another note, you think about comparisons, how important this season is to Eric Flowers. Well, another guy who is here today and doesn't have to be here is Odell Beckham Jr. He is here again, as been told this morning. He's in the facility. He won't do much during the mini camp because he's still rehabbing that ankle. But it just shows you that you talk about first-round picks here, what was at stake. Odell wants a new contract, wants to be here, was in the subject of trade rumors, and he's here. And Eric Flowers is not here. So I don't think they're going to talk much about Eric Flowers, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him not on this team at some point this year. That's for sure.
Art Stapleton, NewJersey.com, USA Today. We appreciate a few minutes of your time, Art, and we'll see how this all plays out on Thursday night. Looking forward to it.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it.